Welcome to week 28 of my Mounjaro journey. My name is Ginger, and this is my channel Ginger Goes GLP-1, where we talk about all things GLP-1. In my specific case, Mounjaro, and I'm currently on a 7.5 milligram pen. So you may have noticed that I didn't get to film an update on Wednesday. That is because life has been lifing this week. And yeah, so I just wanted to come on today to do my sort of Saturday update, which is mood, hunger, cravings, side effects, non-scale victories, calories, goals, what else, exercise that I've been doing, just to bring you up to speed and to apologize to anyone that does enjoy those midweek musings videos that I do. Not going to lie, work has been incredibly stressful. I've been working late every single day, and I did not have the headspace to do anything midweek. I didn't want to put out like a rubbish, just an update that didn't really have any substance to it. And I decided, for my own mental health and for my own giving myself some grace, that I could just let Wednesday go. So here I am today. So I'm going to give you a bit of an update on all of the things that I've just mentioned and let you know a couple of thoughts that I'm having. So, mood. Well, this week, obviously, like I said, work has been extraordinarily stressful, late nights, 12-hour days, just trying to catch up and get ready. So, that normally sort of sets me back and can impact on my mood. But I'm really pleased to report that that hasn't been the case this week. I have been stressed. It has been a lot to deal with, but actually, I managed to stay really balanced through the week. So I'm not sure if that's just because I'm growing, evolving, I'm sort of coming into myself a bit more, I'm feeling a bit more confident. But yeah, it didn't impact me in the way that it normally would. And given the changes that we're going through at work, I thought it might impact me more than it actually did. So, pat on the back to Ginger, because yeah, I dealt with this week really well. And moving into the next week, I'm only doing 4 days because I'm off to Chicago next week. So, um, hunger. So, compared to the week before, where I was really hungry, I've had a bit of the opposite effect this week. I don't think it's Mounjaro related. Well, it might be Mounjaro related, but I haven't been hungry very much and I haven't been eating very much. And that is because I think my cortisol is through the roof. Um, I've struggled this week with balance, trying to get my life balanced. So there's been a couple of days where, like, I've had one meal a day midweek, which I'm not recommending. If that works for you, great. It doesn't work for me. But yeah, it would get to sort of like I was still working at 7:30, nearly 8 o'clock at night, and that's too late for me to eat with my Barrett's esophagus. I can't digest the food in time before I go to sleep. So the option was to stay up late and be tired, or go to bed a little bit hungry and sleep better. And I chose sleep because sleep is a big thing for me. So, cravings. I have had cravings this week, and I think I've had cravings this week because I haven't been eating very much. So I think that's the sort of, swings and roundabouts of balancing hunger, cravings, food suppression, food noise with not eating, is that you think about food more because your belly's saying, hello, are you going to feed me today? So yeah, this week is an anomaly, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to carry this on. I'll tell you some interesting facts later about this week, but yeah, I would definitely say that my cravings have been there just because I've been thinking about food and thinking of something that I can go to the kitchen very quickly and grab and eat, not having to cook or meal plan or prep, even to the point that I've forgotten to take stuff out of the freezer. So I have got stuff in the freezer that I can eat, but I've forgotten to defrost it. So, it, it wasn't my best week food wise, but it's one week, and we all have these things. We all have lifing sometimes, when we've got multiple things to juggle and to deal with, and it's not ideal. So I've given myself some grace in the same way I did around filming on Wednesday. Excuse me. And I've let it go. I've let it go because I don't need to stress and worry about it. I've already got enough on my plate. Ha ha ha. A little pun there. I've got enough on my plate to be dealing with all of the stress that I've got going on. I don't need to then sort of add to that with, trying to worry about what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, when I'm eating, am I getting enough fiber, fruits, vegetables, protein, that kind of thing. So yeah, so like I said, cut myself some grace, and last week's done now, and we're moving into a new week. So sleep's been okay this week. I think because I've been so tired. So I've almost been finishing work, going and getting a drink, going upstairs, putting on my pajamas, brushing my teeth, getting into bed with some water, watching a bit of Netflix, and then kind of going to sleep. So it's been um, work, sleep, repeat kind of thing. My caffeine consumption has been pretty astronomical this week, um, which isn't good either. But needs must when the devil drives, right? So I've dealt with this week the way that I can. The only thing that I'm a little bit sort of not upset about, but on Wednesday night I went to sleep. I don't know what time I went to sleep, probably about 10:30. But I've got an emergency alarm because I usually wake up about 6:30. I've got an emergency alarm on my phone for 7:30, and that's like, if I can sleep to 7:30, I can just about get up, get showered, get dressed, and start work. Well, anyway, I was woken by that emergency alarm at 7:30 on Thursday morning, and I could probably have slept for, I don't know, 3 or 4 more hours. So it's funny because I usually wake up in the night, as I always complain about, but Wednesday night I'd gone to sleep and slept right the way through. 7:30 came, and if that alarm hadn't gone off, I don't know what time I would have woken up, but I was just exhausted. And then of course Thursday night, I slept terribly. So I was tossing and turning all night. I was up and down going to the loo. I was thinking about work, stressing. But like I said, again, this is just another example of life and how Mounjaro doesn't stop everything dead in its tracks. We just have to carry on and do the best that we can. And sometimes sort of reprioritize what we're dealing with and what we're looking at. And for me, the focus this week was work and getting enough sleep. um, I do go through these high acuity periods at work. My work is very much peaks and troughs, and we're we're at we're at Mount Everest peak at the moment. But anyway, it'll be all resolved by Thursday, because I am done on Thursday. Because in the UK we get Good Friday and Easter Monday off, in addition to sort of Saturday, Sunday. So I've got a 4-day weekend I would have had anyway. But obviously, I've got annual leave on top of that. So, yeah, so it's good that I finish on Thursday, not Friday. So I'm delighted about that. Side effects, I can't say I've had any side effects this week. I haven't even had the rash around the injection site. Interestingly, I started a new pen um, on Thursday morning, so I wonder if it's got something to do with the pens. I don't know. I'm going to monitor how that goes. But yeah, started a new pen on Thursday. No rash. I've got my itchy back thing, but I don't really pay attention to that very much. I have not had a runny nose this week. I do have the ear popping. I have it going on right now, which is kind of annoying. But when I say not really side effects, I haven't observed things as I've been going through the week and thought, oh, that's funny, or that's interesting. So it's yeah, which is good, and I'm week 28 now. So my body's obviously adapting, and I'm now 11 weeks on the 7.5 milligram pen. So I'm very adjusted to that, I would say. uh Calories. Calories. I've barely hit 1,000 calories a day, or as it averages out on my app. um it's showing that I'm just under 1,000 calories, but I'm not surprised by that. And it might stand me in good stead in Chicago. So I've always said that I don't think what you do this week shows up on the scale at the end of the week. I think what you do this week shows up on the scale at the end of next week, if that makes sense. So potentially I might have a bigger loss next week. I don't know. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, calories, it doesn't really matter. But it's Saturday today, and I'm going to get my hair done in time for my holiday. And yeah, I might treat myself to something really nice and calorific today because obviously it's weigh-in day. I don't have to worry about it, so I can give myself a bit of slack. So if something, as I'm walking around and I'm doing my shopping, if there is something that catches my eye and I think, well, I love that, I'm gonna go for it. So I'll let you know what that is if there is something I decide. I really would love to have a KFC. I know I've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. And one of the reasons I've resisted that is because I've felt so, so, so good being completely, and I mean 100%, dairy and gluten free in the last maybe 4 weeks. And obviously, KFC has got gluten in it. So if I wasn't doing that, I would have probably had it about 2 weeks ago. But I am I'm not going to do that in America. I am going to just eat what I want. If something takes my fancy, because I'm going to be on holiday. I want to enjoy my holiday. I want to experience things. I want to go places with my daughter. She loves pizza. So I'm going to go to pizza place with her, no doubt. And unless they've got a gluten-free crust, which not a lot of places in America do, or they didn't used to when I lived there, I'm just going to have pizza and deal with whatever comes. And it is worth pointing out, I'm not celiac. I'm not allergic to gluten. Um, it just is not great for me. I get very bloated on it. I do get stuffy nose and things like that. So as I've said before, I've got lots of intolerances. Luckily, no serious allergies and no life-threatening ones, or ones that are very detrimental to my health. So when I do indulge, it's with the full knowledge I will maybe be paying the price in a day or two for making those choices. But yeah, until I go to Chicago, I'm not going to do that. So I'm not having KFC today, even though my tummy would like it. Uh, Goals. I haven't really set too many goals, as you know, because I'm off to Chicago. So I had said I want to get down to somewhere between 190 and 195 to go there. So I've got a bit of a buffer zone while I'm in Chicago, just that I can indulge a little bit without worrying. So apart from that, yeah, I don't really have any. Not to gain too much weight in Chicago. I think that's a goal. Not to come back at 250 pounds or something, so gain back the all the weight that I've lost. Um, the other thing I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so obviously £56 is 4 stone in the UK, and I'd love to have lost 4 stone, but I'm not going to get there before the end of next week. Unless I have a massive loss, I'm not going to get there. But that was like kind of like a little mini goal that I hadn't really set in stone. But that would have been really good if I'd have done that. But I haven't, and I'm okay with it. And this is the thing, that the longer I go on this, the more I feel okay with a lot of things um, that don't go to plan. That I've set like a mini goal in my head, or I want to lose 2 pounds this week, or 3 pounds this week, or whatever. I set myself something like that, and it doesn't happen, and I kind of go, oh well, just I've got to let that go. So that's one thing that I've learned. And I don't know if that's the Mounjaro, or if that's just feeling more content in myself, feeling like I'm more settled in who I am, how I am, more confident in my being. Um, One thing I will say, talking about confidence, is it a non-scale victory? Maybe. Um, but I had a very, 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 very awkward meeting during the week with two like top seniors at work. And whereas before I would have not kowtowed. I've never really done that. I would have kind of given in a little bit, or just said, okay, your choice, or that's your decision, or whatever. I absolutely fought tooth and nail against something this week, and I stood my ground, and I said, I disagree with what both of you are saying. I do not think this is the way to go. I do not think this we should be doing this. I do not trust the people that you're saying X, Y, and Z about, blah, blah, blah. And they were a little bit taken aback, but I was just like, no, I think that is absolutely categorically the wrong decision. There is no way I would have done that before. When I was very overweight and not very confident, I would have, it sounds silly, but I would have worried that they wouldn't have taken what I was saying as seriously because I was overweight. That's my mind stuff. If it doesn't apply to everybody, other people don't link, excuse me, their self-worth to their weight like I used to. But I wouldn't have been bold and brave and stood up to extremely high execs, and said that before. But I'm glad I did. That feels really empowering. There's a slight part of me that's like, because obviously we're going through consultation at work. So could that be my downfall? I don't know, but I've never been afraid to speak truth to power. And what they were saying was, in my opinion, ridiculous and would have had dire consequences. So I couldn't have let that pass. But yeah, so again, yay me. I was really proud of myself when I left that meeting. I was a little bit like, ooh, but more so, no, yeah, I'm right. I am right. I am right. Um, Another non-scale victory is, despite this week being very stressful, I have been exercising this week. And I know that a lot of people that do exercise say it helps them with stress. So maybe this is the revelation I should have had 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But yeah, I have been working out. But I've also been, again, allowing myself a bit of grace to not exercise if I don't feel like I'm able to, because there's too much going on. So I've probably done three or four morning sessions, and then on Tuesday I came back from the office, and I was tired, but I was energized, but I didn't feel like I had it in me to do like a full workout. So I did get on the mini trampoline, which I am still loving. I mean, I absolutely love this thing. And I didn't do a full routine, but I did like a beginner's routine. And then I kind of bounced around and did some of the sort of like maneuvers that they say to do. So I got my heart rate up. I felt quite energized after it, but I felt a bigger sense of, I've done something, rather than just coming home, stressing out, eating something, going to bed. I felt like, yeah, I could have not done something, but I did. So yeah, so that's another non-scale victory for me, because I would have said before, oh, I'm really stressed, so that's a really good reason not to exercise. But yeah, so that's another little throwaway thing for you. Comparison. So again, I when it comes to weight loss, it comes to scale fear, scale, like, am I going to gain? Am I going to lose? Am I going to stay the same? I do still get that. I try and keep it under control, but even when Jimmy Jempster was saying that she gained weight this week, I felt worse for her than she felt for herself, which I thought was amusing, because that fear of the scale. And I know so many people are going through it, and so many people still want that number on the scale to just keep going down and down. Gemma has like such a balanced, pragmatic approach to it. She's really kind of like, there are going to be gains, there are going to be losses, you know, there are going to be stalls, and she's really good about that. I am not good at that. I come around to it, but usually a week later. It takes me a while to process that. So if you're similar to me, you know, do allow yourself just to feel disappointed, you know, because we are doing this to lose weight. So when we don't lose weight, it is a little bit disappointing. That is true. That is a fact. It is a little bit disappointing. But try not to get bogged down in it too much, because I do. I can get bogged down for a couple of days, and it's not worth it. I mean, I've said it before. I know I sometimes sound like a broken record, but I have said it before. But we are going to continue to lose weight, most of us, assuming that we're, you know, eating the sort of eating a balanced enough diet. We're not overeating on calories. There is still the calories in, calories out. I know it's so annoying, but if you're on Mounjaro and you're eating 3,000 calories a day, you're not going to be losing weight, you know, unless you're a very large person and that's a deficit for you. But yeah, just be aware that, you know, there are going to be slow weeks, there are going to be, you know, whoosh, like weight loss and things like that. But I thought it was important to come back to comparison, because I found myself doing it again this week, over other things, you know, just not even only about weight loss and different things, but you know, how well maybe some other content creators are doing, or how much better somebody looks in their gym gear than me, or somebody's able to wear different clothes that I am. You know, I've got these bingo wings now because I've lost weight, and you know, so short sleeve tops aren't as exciting as they used to be to me now. So comparison is a thing. I think it is a normal part of human existence that we do compare. It's keeping it in balance, and I'm saying this as much to myself as I am to you. But yeah, and then the other thing I would say before I go into my sort of stats for the week is high stress, low calorie, lots of exercise does not mean a big loss on the scale. So I'm kind of giving you a little preview of where we're going here. But sometimes when we're comparing and we're wanting to have a loss, we go to extremes. And the extremes actually have the opposite effect. I know my cortisol is up. I know my cortisol is high. And I've been pounding caffeine like it's about to be banned, you know. So um but yeah, so don't when you're struggling and you're not getting where you want to go, don't drastically reduce your calories, don't drastically up your exercise, you know, don't let yourself get too stressed about it. Just remain steady, calm, carry on doing what you're doing. If it goes on for like 3 or 4 weeks, then you might need to look at something. But a stall, I think they say in Weight Watchers or Slimming World, a stall is 6 weeks or longer. So a stall isn't necessarily 1 week. A stall is for a prolonged period of time. If you haven't lost weight 1 week, then you just haven't lost weight that week, you know. So, but anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to touch upon, because scale disappointment is a thing. I'm very handsy today, aren't I? Scale disappointment is a thing, and it's a thing I'm aware of in myself, and I've seen it in other people. I've seen comments about it, so I did want to just address that. But anyway, I'm going to move very, very swiftly on to the stats now. So it's week 28. I started my Mounjaro journey back on the 1st of October of 2024 at a starting weight of 247 pounds and 8 ounces, or 17 stone 9.8, or 112 kilos and 4 ounces. Last week I weighed in at 195.4, or 13 stone 13.6. So I made it into the 13 stones, which I was delighted about, or 88.6 kilos. And then this week I have weighed in at 194.8 or 13 stone 12.8 or 88.3 kilos. So I've had a grand total weight loss this week of 0.6 pounds. So in the last 2 weeks, I've only lost 1.2 pounds. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Obviously, you can sense there's a slight resistance that I'm not 100% okay with that, but I am okay with it because it is a loss. And I have recognized that, this week was an anomaly. Maybe, and I'm just saying this maybe, there is a slight chance I could be ready to go up to the 10 milligram pen. I don't feel it, but I'm postponing those decisions until I come back from Chicago. Hopefully, not 55 pounds heavier, but then we'll definitely be going on the 10 milligram pen. But yeah, so I'm just holding fire on that. But I could have a bigger loss next week. Next Saturday is my last weigh-in before Chicago, so I don't know what I'm going to do about a weigh-in in Chicago because it won't be my scales. Even if I do weigh in, it won't be my scales. I won't be able to weigh naked if I'm doing it in a Walgreens because they might kick me out. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to weigh in next Saturday and then I leave my home on Sunday. I fly on Monday, so we'll see where we go from there. So overall, since I started this journey, I have had a 52.8 weight loss. Yeah, I think that's right. Sorry for sniffing again. I can't hear myself because of my ear. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to make the 56 pounds before I go to Chicago, so I'm gonna let that go. But it's been a bit of a longer update today because obviously I missed Wednesday, so I've been trying to cram a lot in here, and I've been talking fast. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me. If you have made it to the end here, obviously I would like you to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment. I am on top of all of my comments now. If I haven't responded to a comment that you've left, it's because it's disappeared. And YouTube has been disappearing several of my comments because I know I answered a comment the other day and both my answer and the comment were gone. I don't know if the commenter removed their comment, but I'm just aware that there is something going on with my comments and I have asked for help around that because I feel like some people's comments are disappearing. I look at them, I go to answer them later and they're not there. And I don't think everyone's deleting their comments. So, but yeah, I hope you're all having a good week. I hope you've all had good losses or at least haven't had gains and that, your journey is going well and you're feeling good and you're not plagued by too many side effects. So I am going to try and do a midweek musing on Wednesday. No guarantees, obviously, because I'll be running against the clock to go on annual leave on the Thursday. But I will try and do that. I don't like missing, and then I'll do an update next Saturday, and then I might Richard Bull. I might because he's been harassing me to do some ginger cam. I might do some vlogging in Chicago. So, oh, I have right mini goal. This is a bit of a PS on the end. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I have set a mini goal around my channel that if I get there, I'm going to buy myself a DJI Osmo 3. I think it's called the Osmo 3, which is a small vlogging camera. It's better quality than my phone. So, yeah. So, I've got to kind of reach this mini goal by Thursday. Otherwise, I won't get the camera in time. But yeah, so watch this space. If you see me on the DJI Osmo 3, you know I've hit my goal. So, Richard, I will vlog for you. Richard's just started back on Mounjaro, and so go over and follow him. I will put his channel down below. But yeah, he's been on at me to vlog for ages, but I'm not really a vlogger as such. So, but maybe I'll try anyway. That's all. We're nearly at 30 minutes. I'm gonna zip the lip and head on from here. But yeah, thanks very much if you've made it this far, and have a great week, everybody. Take care.